band is made up of Richard West, Simon Anderson and myself. And before we settled on the band as AudioPlastik as is, there were two previous incarnations, Alpha Flood and Brave New Sky, which sadly failed to get off the ground. But the three of us believed in the music and the songs, and we decided to stick it out and release it as a trio. I see it in those eyes.
Writing the songs for this album was very easy, actually. I wrote the first song and I sent that over to Deck, and he put the melodies on there and sent the file back, and we both fell pretty much in love. The result came out pretty much kick-ass, and no hassle, no major changes or anything like that. So we tried that approach for the next song, and that came out even more kick-assier. So that was kind of the starting point for us, how to write music together.
The music was written by Simon and myself, and what we were going for was a real cinematic, heavy but melodic direction. So that's what we wanted to aim at. We liked the heavy, we liked the intensity of the cinematicness of it all, and the melody has always been a strong factor in things that we do. So we tried to meld the three of those together, and hopefully that's what's come together with in the Head of a Maniac.
Deck and Simon are very much the masterminds of the operation. Deck has a great ear for melody, and everything that he's written for AudioPlastik is really such a thing of beauty, and his voice just sits perfectly on the songs. Simon is such a creative force. Whether he's playing guitar or bass or programming, he's just got so many good ideas and so much inspiration, and it's very much in the style of music that I lean towards.
I guess each song in itself was its own story, and while it isn't a concept album per se, I wanted from the lyrical content for there to be some sort of connection with all of the songs, albeit it wasn't the same story. And we had floated around a number of different possible album titles, and Simon suggested, I believe it was Sophie, his fiancée, who came up with the title In the Head of a Maniac. I thought, whoa, that's really cool. That we could, in effect, tell these different stories from the perspective of somebody who is unhinged. So that's what's happened there.
The actual recording was not really an easy process. We went through member changes and a lot of different hiccups along the road, so it got us one step forward and two steps back for a very long time. We recorded the bits and pieces in our own studios and sent them over the internet. The mixing duties ended up on my table simply because I had a vision, an idea of a final product. So it was kind of hard for me to, being a Swede and all, and talk all this English nonsense, to explain to other people how it was supposed to be like. did try a couple of different engineers, but they did good, but they didn't do good in AudioPlastik terms. Even though I have no idea how that works with mixing and stuff like that, I took the role and did the best I could. And for this album, I think it turned out to be very good, actually, if I'm allowed to say that myself.
My role in the album came a little bit later on. Dec and Simon had already recorded most of the music and the vocals, and my job was to add a few extra keyboards and a few backing vocals. So I played a few synth parts, added a little bit of piano, which was nice. But really, I've got to say, all the credit for this record has got to go to Dec and Simon. AudioPlastik is very much their labour of love.
Yeah, Richard added some really tasty and important touches to the final product, which lifted the songs even more. He also did all of the vocal mixing. So even though he didn't really write the music for this album per se, his input made the whole thing so much better.
I think we sort of come at the music from different angles, but yet somehow we were arriving at the same destination. I guess from a songwriting point of view, Richard was last in, so at that point the music was already written. So I can only speak from the viewpoint of this particular album in writing together with Simon, is that the chemistry is really good, and the irony of the fact that it's taken 2 years to get this album done is that the songs were written in a matter of weeks. So on the follow-up album that we will come back with, we'll see writing from all three of us, which will be great, sort of cement the whole thing together. But Richard is he's got a real ear for what's going on sonically. He's the quiet guy in the operation, but when he speaks, we all shut up and listen.
So, we're AudioPlastik. The album's called In the Head of a Maniac. It's out on the 2nd of February 2015, and you can pre-order it now from themerchdesk.com.